A wedding day can be a really stressful affair if you haven't thought about who is doing what. And in this episode, I'm going to break down who should do what on your wedding day, what they'll be responsible for, so that you can have a really stress-free and calm day. Ciao, I'm Lucy, I'm an Italian wedding planner and I'm the founder of Lista.com. At Lista, we are all about stress-free weddings. We want you to have the most enjoyable time planning your wedding and the most amazing Italian wedding when it comes around. So this episode is all around my own opinions of what people should do on the day. Some of them are a bigger deal than others, they make more of a difference, but these are what I have seen at real Italian weddings and they genuinely make a huge difference to how the bride and groom experience the day and how they feel on the day. So before I go through these individual roles, I just want to say a little bit about suppliers, because it's so tempting when you're planning an Italian wedding to pull your suppliers in to other roles that they aren't necessarily there for. I did it myself at my own wedding. I tried to make my caterer my wedding planner. I've done it myself. So I know what this is like and I know how tempting it is, especially when budget can be tight. But a word of warning is that each supplier is genuinely there to do their role, and under pressure on the day when they have other things going on, they are only going to care about the contracted role that they are there for. So if you try and stretch them too much, if you try and put too many things into their role that aren't contracted or aren't what they're normally used to doing, it could cause problems. It could cause them to be pulled away from the real thing that they're meant to focus on. So let's use a caterer as an example. If they're pulled away from delivering your catering, which you've potentially spent tens of thousands of euro on, you're going to have a problem and your main crux of the day is going to fall apart. Equally, they are only really going to care about that deliverable. They are genuinely going to have everything else go out of their head during that peak moment if there is a bit of stress, and those other things that you have asked them to do will fall by the wayside. So it's a much better approach to kind of plan out everything that needs to be done and give it to people that are going to take it very seriously and be responsible for it. And that may mean that you do need to pay them for it, because then it will be within a contract and within their job. So do just bear that in mind. It is not the rule and the case for everyone, but if we're all about reducing stress and limiting risks, that is something really serious to consider. Secondly, my number one rule here is every role I go through right now, none of those should be assigned to you if you are the bride or the groom. It feels a bit diva-y, but nothing should be coming to you on your wedding day. You should just be able to be fully in it, and to be really frank and honest, it's your responsibility to make sure that you have delegated all those tasks to the right type of people beforehand. I again made this mistake myself at my own wedding. In the lead up to the wedding, I took on too many things. I wasn't able to spend as much time with my friends and family. When I was planning my wedding, it seemed like a really good idea to do these things myself. In reality, it wasn't. I just wanted to be with the people that were around me at the time, and I always tell my couples to take on my advice here and to do as little as possible yourself when you arrive in Italy. And on the day, definitely have no jobs to do. Do not be the person that people come to. Do not be responsible for anything. I was responsible for turning some fairy lights on at my own wedding. What the hell was I thinking? In that moment, I couldn't have given a shit. I did not turn those lights on. I did not care that they were on. It did not matter to me at that moment when I was in the crux of enjoying the very best time at my own wedding. So let's get into it. The things that I noticed on a wedding day. First up, the food. When you're hiring a villa or you're doing self-catering, often you have to feed other people. So you have to think about whether you're going to have food for people that are staying in your accommodation. And it can be really tempting to say, oh, we'll just go to the supermarket when we get there. Oh, we'll just go and get the drinks when we get there. Believe me, it is not fun. You don't want to be in a massive supermarket for 3 hours when everyone else is by the pool having fun. And let me tell you, even if this is before everyone arrives, you still don't want to be doing it. You want to be on a sun lounger, chilling the hell out before all of your guests arrive in Italy. You'll have spent that last couple of weeks leading up to your wedding, packing, having moments of stress, wrapping things up at work. Lots will be going on for you. When you get to Italy, you want to chill out. Do not take these roles on yourself. There'll be people that can do supermarket shops for you, whether it's your friends and family or your villa. For a very small fee, you can have these things arranged. You can have drinks deliveries arranged to your villa at no cost of delivery. Just get that sorted for yourselves. Night before the wedding, think about setting up your room. I'm very much talking to the bride here. The room where you're all going to get ready, get your bridesmaids dresses in there, shoes, makeup, accessories, hang your dress up, steam it the day before. It is not a rite of course that you have to do your steaming yourself, and you do not have to do it on your wedding day. Imagine waking up on your wedding day, you've had a bit of a lie-in because you haven't had to get yourself sorted. It takes away all these levels of anxiety. You know that everyone's stuff has arrived and it's safely there. Everybody knows where their stuff is. You've got everything ready to go. So when your hair and makeup artist arrive, you have literally just had to get up and get yourself maybe dressed into your nice PJs or whatever. I have seen how this makes such a difference to people's mindset when they start their wedding day, so I would 100% recommend this. Another thing before the wedding, decor prep. Make sure that you've handed over everything to your planner or the people person that's going to be responsible for putting out things like menus, name cards, guest book, all those little bits that you might have got yourself. Make sure that they are well and truly handed over to someone else. Again, on your wedding day, you do not want someone coming up to you and asking you for things. You don't want to be explaining where things should go. That all needs to have been done. Next thing, breakfast on the wedding day. It is so nice to see someone else take responsibility for this. So maybe it's a parent or a friend or a bridesmaid, someone who's responsible for prepping breakfast for everyone and bringing it up to your room. It's really simple, but if they know this in advance, then again, the night before, the day before, they can get it all ready, they can get the food ready, they can go to the supermarket, whatever needs to happen so that it's ready to go on the wedding day. And again, it's calm, and you know when you're going to be eating, you know what you're going to be eating, you know it's going to give you some good hydration and nutrition, which is really important for the wedding day. I see so many people not eat enough, drink enough, get headaches. It's not fun. You want to have a really good run up and give your day the best start that you can have. Decisions on layout and weather are another thing that can impact that lead up to your wedding day. So roles here, you need to have a really clear plan with your planner or yourselves, you and your future spouse. You need to know how you're going to tackle the weather. This shouldn't be a conversation that happens on the wedding day. This needs to be weeks before the wedding. You need to know what your game plan is going to be if the weather looks ropey. You need to know far out so that when the decision point comes, you can make that decision relatively easily. I say relatively easily because it is a horrendous decision to make, and it is never ever easy, but make sure that you're doing it way out from your wedding. If you're doing it on the day of your wedding, it's going to cause untold stress that you just do not need to have on that day. Don't get me wrong, you may need to make a final decision about, let's say 11 o'clock, usually just before the catering arrive. You're going to have to decide where you're setting up your dinner, inside or outside or under the tent, whatever you've got as your plan B. That's the decision moment. That's when you've got a good steer on the weather. But putting up the tent, kind of setting up inside, your actual game plan of if it says it's going to rain, we're going to eat inside. If it says it's fine, obviously we're going to eat outside. That conversation well before the wedding. Okay, the role of production timekeeping. This is obviously your planner if you have one. So if you have a planner, they should have built a timeline with you, and all of your suppliers should have fed into this timeline. So you've got the timeline, everybody knows about it, all of the suppliers have had a chance to input into it. Everybody therefore can be held accountable to this timeline because it has had everybody's input and sign off. The planner is there to produce the day. They're there to move everything along, check that every supplier is doing what they said they would do time-wise and deliverables-wise to their contract. Obviously, the planner cannot make a supplier do something. So if a hair and makeup artist is going slowly, if they're not running to schedule, the planner can do some things. Obviously, you can have conversations, but you cannot make somebody do something. So it is their role to move everything along, have the conversations where they need to, try and influence where they can, fix the problems where they can, but ultimately the supplier is there to keep to their time and deliver their service. I'd say it'd be quite a nice idea if someone in the wedding party had an idea of the schedule, especially if you don't have a planner. This is a must, and like print it out, put it up on the wall where you're getting ready, because then you get less questions. To be honest, you don't want bridesmaids, you know, when's my turn? When am I getting ready? Guys, it's all on the schedule on the wall. It's there, go check it out. You know, you don't need to remember all of this stuff. This is about you getting ready for your day. If anyone else needs to know what they need to do, it's on the wall. As I've just mentioned, the planner's remit is also to hold your suppliers accountable to their actual role on the day. So they should be fully aware of every contract that you have with suppliers, everything that's been agreed with them so that they are able to hold them accountable to all of the deliverables. They should know your hair and makeup schedule, everybody that's getting ready and when. They should know exactly what lighting is to go up, where and when. They should know every single flower item that's being delivered and check that, know where it's meant to go, who it's meant to go to and when. We're talking absolutely everything, and it is their responsibility to read all of these contracts beforehand to get up to speed on what every supplier is meant to do. Complete sideline here, but that's why wedding coordination, I always talk about, this cannot be an on the day job. This cannot be a job that you do from the day before to the wedding day. You need to be responsible as a coordinator and have read all of these contracts, understand all of the conversations that have gone on and know the timeline inside out, and ideally have had a conversation with every supplier to check that it matches. That is why a coordinator cannot possibly just turn up and deliver the day and be held responsible for that. So another role that's often brought up is kind of who does the decor, who puts out the flowers, who puts out the menus, etc. If you have a planner, if this is within their role as a deliverable, then it is their role. As a planner myself, I would arrange before the wedding with the florist exactly what they're going to do, because I can be a little bit controlling. So sometimes I like to help them put the flowers on the table and things like that. So we just define who's doing what on the day and where I'm going to be involved or not. But ultimately, like I said before, my job is production. So they might put all of the flowers on the table, but then I check that they are accurate, they're in the right places, that they look right. All of that. When it comes to stationery, again, if you've got a planner, especially if they're a stylist, they should probably be producing the entire table. So when I'm styling a wedding, I will instruct the catering exactly how I need the tables laid out beforehand and then again on the day. So tables get laid out, the base layers go on, I check those, then we go on with crockery, cutlery, glassware, and I instruct them how to put the napkin out in the position that we want. I instruct them on the menus, and then the catering usually roll out everything as we've instructed. It's our job to then go and check that everything is perfect, exactly as we want it. When it comes to other decorations, obviously it's usually the planner's role. Our job might be to make sure that the guest book goes out in the right place and all those other little elements that you may have done or we may have produced and designed for our couples. If you don't have a planner, this is a good job for someone else in your bridal party. As I sort of said at the start, I wouldn't put too much on the catering because they do have a really important job on your wedding day, and by putting anything else on them, not only do you risk them not doing it right or forgetting to do it, you risk them kind of taking the energy away from the main event, which is the food, which just cannot go wrong. So, you know, if you've got little jobs where you want a bridesmaid to make sure that the guest book's out for the aperitif, make sure that the menus are all correct on the table, that they're jobs that they can do. But remember that that does take them away from your wedding day. So even just putting out menus on a table of 50 people, to put them all in order, put them all out, check them thoroughly, it does take a decent amount of time, and that is going to take them away from probably the aperitif or the getting ready with you. So just bear that in mind when you're giving those roles out. Okay, and final thoughts on this. I know I'm always very pro planner, but this is why. On a wedding day, things go wrong so much more than anyone would ever think. Constantly. They're constant questions. Suppliers may have briefs, they may have been told what to do 100 times, but they will always have questions. Things will always not be exactly as we have said, and we are there to make sure that they are. If you do not have someone that is ultimately kind of responsible for the production of your day, you must expect that things are not going to be exactly as you have asked for. You should also expect that you will have questions. No one else there on your wedding day is going to know your wedding inside out like you unless you have a planner. You can give your family, your bridesmaids, the very best briefing, but they are probably not wedding planners, they're probably not event planners, they are not going to get it on the same level. So if you do want to make sure that you don't have any of this coming to you, then a planner or coordinator is the only way. So that's it. I'd love to hear what you think. Drop me a comment below if you disagree with me, if you think you've got any other roles on the day that you'd love to know who is responsible for what. I would love to answer more questions on this. And do check out the club, which is my planning membership. I've got so many more videos like this and I've got so much more detail over there, so come and check it out. We get together every 2 weeks as well, so we've got a live Q&A. You can ask me absolutely anything that's going on for you about your wedding and I will answer it. I would love to see you there, but for now I'll see you next time.